Ma'am, I need to talk to you. Ma'am, Spokane Police Department, I need to talk to you. Ma'am, Spokane Police Department. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you think that she's hurt at all?
Are you hurt? Her neck.
Your neck hurts? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's her name?
Maxine.
And how old is she?
Mr. Roberts, I need to know if you're still living on Progress Road here, 2414 South Progress. Keep your hands on the steering wheel, please. Are you still living on Progress Road?
Clear communications for first responders in our city and county is crucial, and our officers, deputies, firefighters, and EMTs frequently encounter persons with moderate to profound hearing loss while carrying out their duties. We are presenting this combined training with the police department, the sheriff's office, and the Spokane Fire Department to make sure all of our people are aware of the challenges of communicating well with those who are deaf or hard of hearing, and how we can improve our communications with these citizens.
All of us realize that the work we do can only be successful with a strong partnership with the community, and that includes all members of the community. We must ensure that our communications with people with hearing disabilities are as effective as the communications with any other citizen we come in contact with. To accomplish this, we are presenting this video as the first step in an ongoing training to improve communications between our agencies and the citizens in the Spokane region who may be deaf or hard of hearing.
Our local public safety agencies are working closely with members of the Eastern Washington Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing and the Hearing Loss Association of Spokane to improve how we communicate with each other. Our goals are to help our personnel better understand how we can advance our communications and at the same time help educate citizens with hearing disabilities about how we do our jobs and what they can do to assist with assuring more effective two-way communications. Chief Kirkpatrick, Sheriff Knezovich, and I feel this training is very important, and we invite you to join us in finding additional means of improving how we can communicate and work with all the citizens that we serve.
It's not unusual for people with a hearing impairment to end up in an ambulance or an emergency room without anyone being aware of their hearing loss. Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 prohibits state and local government from discriminating against an individual with a disability. Our agencies are bound by this federal law, which basically says that our written or spoken communications with citizens who are deaf or hard of hearing must be as effective as communications with any other citizen. To start with, we need to understand that deaf and hard of hearing are two culturally distinct groups, and what works for one group may not work for the other. Those who are considered culturally deaf have severe to profound hearing loss. Most are fluent in American Sign Language and may be more dependent on ASL than in writing and reading English. They don't consider themselves disabled, but may feel isolated by discrimination from the hearing world. If someone points to their ears or otherwise indicates trouble hearing but can speak, they are often hard of hearing. Most hard of hearing people lost their hearing later in life or were raised outside the deaf culture and consider themselves part of the oral culture. However, their speech may be slurred or distorted. This can make an emergency responder think they are under the influence of drugs or alcohol when that may not be the case. There are some types of hearing loss that come from diseases such as Meniere's disease. Those types of diseases also cause balance problems that do not involve alcohol or drugs. Those who are hard of hearing have some degree of hearing loss which can range from mild to profound. They may have cochlear implants or use hearing aids or assisted listening devices. It is important to know that cochlear implants and hearing aids do not fix a hearing loss. They can only correct a portion of it. They amplify certain sounds, but they do not guarantee that the words heard will be the same as the ones that were spoken. They do not guarantee that a person can hear all of what you are trying to say. Officers should also know that a person with cochlear implants may have a body-worn speech processor or controller that is the power source to transmit sound. The person wearing the implant may reach for the controller to adjust the volume when contacted by an officer. Persons who are hard of hearing rely on voice or written communication. They seldom know ASL, and they typically are not familiar with the deaf culture. In Washington State, it is estimated that over 12% of the population has some form of hearing loss. In Spokane County, close to 38,000 citizens have a hearing loss, and nearly 800 are deaf. Lip reading is not a dependable form of communication for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. Only about 25% are able to use it effectively. Words such as maybe, baby, or pay me can all look the same to lip readers. However, if someone does depend on lip reading to supplement their understanding of a conversation, it is important to know that a mustache or beard or a hand by the mouth can make it more difficult to understand spoken words. When speaking to a deaf or hard of hearing person, emergency responders should make sure their mouths are not in shadows or blocked by the glare of a flashlight or the sun. Also, it is important to know that ASL is not the only sign language used by those who are deaf. Others include home signs, pigeon signed English, signing exact English, or cued speech. So one of the first things to determine when contacting a citizen with a hearing loss is to determine how they prefer to communicate.
Hi, I'm Officer Fuller with the Spokane Police Department. Oh, can't hear? Okay. Okay. Okay.
When you first contact a person with a hearing loss, they should immediately let you know of their situation and how they will need to communicate. Some drivers may have a card on their visor which they can show, which clearly identifies if they are deaf or hard of hearing. For something like a traffic stop, written notes may work fine. Maintain eye contact. Looking away to right will make the person feel you are not paying attention to them. Hard of hearing persons may have trouble hearing when there is background noise such as high traffic. In this case, it may be advisable to move to a quieter location.
Do you have your registration?
Sheriff's Office, we had a call, there was a fight here. Sheriff's Office, we're looking into a call. There were some guys that were fighting here.
If you are doing a field interview, there is no need to get too close. Don't attempt to speak directly into their ear, assuming it helps. Do not shout or speak slowly. This distorts your speech, lip movements, and facial expressions, which can also make you seem upset. Maintaining good officer safety distance also works well for the deaf or hard of hearing person trying to communicate with you. The individual may be very expressive with their hands and facial gestures. Be prepared for this, as it is part of their communication. Also be aware that some persons who are hard of hearing may speak in a very loud voice. This has often been wrongly interpreted as someone being angry and aggressive. Rather, the loud voice is associated with the hearing loss.
Hi there, how you doing? I'm Dave, I'm with the fire department. How are you feeling? Everything okay? You having some difficulty breathing?
By contrast, a person who smiles and agrees with your conversation may simply not be hearing what you are saying. This could also be extremely important to remember on a medical emergency call. It is useful to have a hard of hearing person summarize what you have said. Many hard of hearing people guess at words because there are sounds they can't hear well, even with hearing aids.
Is she having any problems?
Do you have any problems? I think it's her neck. She keeps pointing to her neck.
It can be very frustrating to a deaf or hard of hearing person to be ignored. While a passenger may assist you, continue to communicate with the person who has the hearing loss.
Spokane Fire Department.
I have the keys to all the units.
Okay, let's open this one up first.
This tenant is deaf. She won't be able to hear you.
Okay. Hello?
In an emergency situation when time is limited, let the person know that they must come with you right away. You might flick the lights on and off when entering the room to get their attention.
So you're going to stand with your feet together. You're going to raise your heels 6 inches.
When giving instructions to a deaf or hard of hearing person, keep in mind that they cannot understand you if they cannot see your face. Explain the procedure and then demonstrate facing the person.
Your toes, and you're going to start counting, okay?
Go ahead and turn around for me.
This can also be a problem when applying handcuffs while trying to communicate. Again, try to explain first what you are going to do before moving behind the person. Handcuffs will also not allow the person to use hand signals to communicate.
It's okay. It's okay. Give me this hand. There you go.
This is not to say that we abandon normal safety procedures. Just because the person is deaf or hard of hearing does not mean they cannot pose a threat. The purpose of this training is to show a need to communicate differently without compromising officer safety and without minimizing the importance of fire personnel communicating effectively on rescue or medical calls where those impacted by an emergency are also deaf or hard of hearing. The ADA law says that citizens who are deaf have the right to a qualified sign language interpreter for effective communication if they have become a victim, witness, or complainant of a crime.
You have the right to have your attorney present during the questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you without cost before any questioning, if you so desire.
Miranda rights must be given through a qualified interpreter. When communicating this way, remember the interpreter is present solely to transmit information back and forth between the officer and the victim or suspect. The interpreter is not there to explain information or give opinions. Thus, when using an interpreter, you should stand or sit across from the person in a well-lit but glare-free area with the interpreter beside you so the person can easily shift their gaze between you and the interpreter. Speak at a normal volume directly to the person, not to the interpreter. A correct question would be, "How are you feeling?" and not, "How is she feeling?" Ask the person, not the interpreter, to repeat or clarify an answer if you do not understand it. For potential arrest situations, avoid using a family member as an interpreter. If the interview is going long, take breaks, as interpreting can be tiring for both the interpreter and the person being interviewed. The Communications Center has a list of qualified interpreters to be called when necessary. A certified court reporter would be qualified to provide legal, real-time captioning for a hard of hearing person who does not know ASL. The court system could provide a list of qualified court reporters who would be willing to serve as real-time captioners in legal cases. Finally, recognize that deaf and hard of hearing cultures exist. They have experiences, practices, and beliefs about their groups and their connection to the larger hearing society. Crime victims who identify with the deaf and hard of hearing cultures may live more isolated from the hearing society and be less comfortable with that society, including you. When communicating with those who are deaf or hard of hearing, it is important not to automatically interpret fear or defensiveness as guilt or hiding something. It is more likely to be a direct effect of their difficulty hearing and their fear of making a mistake in what they are hearing. If the situation allows, a smile can help diffuse the anxiety, as can an effort to say the message in other words. We plan on further communications training, and our agencies will be assessing how well we can accommodate requests for interpreters and auxiliary aids and services so we can be as prepared as possible to ensure effective communication with every citizen we serve.